Why did I dress like Erica Kirk? Right now you're looking at a shot with depth, and you probably didn't even really notice it, which is entirely the point. Listen, I keep things pretty simple in here because we're working on a shoestring budget. But that doesn't mean I can't still have depth in my shots. How do I do that? All about camera placement, all about subject placement. First off, I'm not saying that placing your subject up against a flat wall doesn't have its place in the lexicon. But in most scenarios, you want to make that two-dimensional image feel 3D, and you do that with depth. For instance, in this shot, I am your subject. As you can see, I have distanced myself from the wall behind me. What does that do? Well, it automatically adds depth just physically in the space that you're shooting. We add our accent lights in the background just to add a little color, add a little life to it. And then we have our main key light lighting your subject to make it stand away from that background. Listen, a flat shot isn't wrong. It's boring. And you can't afford to have boring. Especially when depth is essentially free. Depth isn't just the stuff in the background. It's the illusion of three-dimensional space on a two-dimensional surface. Take this scene from cinema classic Citizen Kane.
Be careful, Charles.
Kane.
Pull your muffler around your neck, Charles.
Kane, I think we shall have to tell him now.
Yes. I'll sign those papers now, Mr. Thatcher.
You people seem to forget that I'm the boy's father.
It's going to be done exactly the way I've told Mr. Thatcher.
There ain't nothing wrong with Colorado. I don't see why we can't raise our own son just because we come into some money. If I want, I can go to court. A father has a right to.
That classic example of young Kane through the window as his parents are inside signing him away. The audience reads three separate planes of action simultaneously in one shot. That's not an accident. Wells wasn't just showing you a room, he was showing you the relationship of everything in the room and outside of it. This is the most accessible technique. Something in the foreground, something in the midground, and something in the background. Three planes. Suddenly the shot has weight. Here's another example from 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Rotate the pod, please, Hal. Rotate the pod, please, Hal. I don't think he can hear us.
Rotate the pod, please, Hal. Yeah, I'm sure we're okay. Well, what do you think?
The foreground is typically the architecture or the equipment inside of the ship, the subject being the midground, and then more of the equipment or architecture of the ship in the background. This connects the character to the ship itself. Kubrick understood that the space around the character tells you just as much as the character's face. Now, what do you do when you just have yourself in an apartment? It doesn't have to be grand. A plant, a door frame, a coffee mug just placed at the bottom of frame in the foreground, slightly out of focus. It signals depth to the brain before the brain even processes it. Now let's talk a little bit about blocking and staging for depth. This is where emotion lives. Flat blocking, flat relationships. When you stage actors forward and away from each other rather than side by side, it makes the shot dynamic. Distance between characters reads as emotional distance. Let's visit Kubrick again. Here's a great example from The Shining.
I saw your picture in the newspapers. You, chopped your wife and daughter up into little bits. And, then you blew your brains out. That's strange, sir.
As you can see from that, it is a super simple scene between two characters talking in a bathroom. However, because of the way that he angled and blocked them, you feel that confrontation. The bathroom set itself helps this as well, with all those lead lines that are built into it. Forcing us to look into this one-point perspective in the deep background adds even more depth to the moment. They're not just in a bathroom, they're being consumed by the bathroom. All that is covered in Shoot Better, my guidebook, which is on our website. The shots that you remember from all the films that you love, I bet most of them have depth. Not because the cinematographer was showing off. Because depth makes you feel like the world that you're watching is real. And when the world feels real, everything that happens in it matters more. So next time you're setting up a shot, what's in the foreground? What's in the midground? What's in the background? If the answer to any of those questions is nothing, ask yourself why. My guidebook, Shoot Better, covers this and so much more, and it's only $14. It's on our website, www.planrpictures.com, link in the bio.